It's time for another Dice Tower review with Tim Jennette.
Hey everyone, this is Tim Jennette, the Metal Meeple, and in this video we're taking a look at an expansion for Nefarious called Becoming a Monster. This is also published by USAopoly in 2017. It's designed by the same designer, Donald X. Vaccarino. It's for 2 to 6 players, takes 30 to 45 minutes. It really doesn't add anything to the game as far as time. So this adds a couple of different things to the game. For the most part, it's a deck of twists with some extra components that you add in based on those twists, and it kind of just changes up the way the game's played. So let me show you the components to the expansion. We'll come back and I'll tell you what I think. So here's all the new components to Becoming a Monster. The first thing to note is this deck right here. This is going to replace all the player colors action cards for the game, all 6 players, except it does add a few new ones that are going to be brought in with these twists. So you can see you have the 1, 2, 3, and 4 like normal. You've got Develop, which is going to allow you to discard one of your inventions, and for every victory point it was worth, you get to pay 5 less for the next invention that you build immediately right after you play that. Experiment, you get to draw a card and play it immediately from the deck if you have the money to pay the cost. And then Produce, gain 2 for each played invention of the player with the most inventions. Now, like I said, these 4 will be the replacement cards that you keep. These 3, one of these are going to come in for each of the twists. So you might have 5, you might have 5 and 7, etc. Now, the twist here is what drives the expansion. There are a couple of different new types of twists. This one, and this one. Develop, experimenting, and producing. Add those extra cards that I just showed you to the game. The Spy and the Super Spy and Double Agent. Add this board right here, and it's basically to track the number of turns in the game with this tracker. In every 4th turn, you can see how they're barely highlighted: 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. Every 4th turn, it's going to do something, such as this one. At the end of every 4th turn, do the next thing. You know, at the end of 4th turn, you lose $5, discard a card, remove a spy, etc. And each one, they have a little bit different layout on them. There are 3 other cards that are added to the game, one for each of these next 3 twists that I'm going to show you. There's Poor Little Orphan, there's the Police State, and Minions in High Places. And those are going to add one of these 3 cards into the game. Now, Police, the player, one of the players will get this at the start of the turn, choose an action. That action cannot be played, and then this is going to be passed to the player on their left. So that player now gets to choose an action that can't be played. The Mol Card is kind of similar. You pass it each round, but you get double money from spies. In the Orphan, at the beginning each turn, lose $1, but it's only passed to the next player who played research or did not play research this turn. So those are added only if those twists come into play. The last couple of types of twists that are added are investment zones, and they're basically where you can place your spies on these cards here and different effects. So this one, it costs discarding a card to put a spy here with espionage, which is the first action. And in the end of the turn, if you have 0, gain $4 for each guy you have here. You can see the different ones there. Each guy you have on here, your inventions cost 2 less per guy, spy that you have on this. This one, we'll skip that one. Put a guy on here with espionage. When you research, you get to draw an extra card for every spy you have, etc., etc., if you want to read some of these. And then there's a couple of different ones at the bottom here that just do different things. Play each action that adjacent player picked in addition to yours. So there's more twists. You can see how there's a bunch here, not including the ones I removed from the game or from the screen here just a few minutes ago. Lastly, you have new invention cards. You have at the bottom here, I'm going to show you this. You have a few just new inventions, but more importantly, you have these orange ones that get shuffled in as well. When you build these inventions, they actually give you permanent increases to different cards. So from now on, when I play the 1 action, I'll get to draw $2. This one, whenever I play the work action, I get $2. This one, whenever I play the work action, I'll get to draw a card, etc. Everybody else would lose $1 for work when I work. I would get $2, etc. So you can see some of these are pretty cool. They modify the main actions of the game. They do not modify the 5, 6, and 7, just the 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, like I said, these are some of the just extra ones that they added into the game that do different things. And just more importantly, this one's called Meat Trees. And that's what comes in the expansion. And there you go. That's pretty much the overview of the components for Becoming a Monster. As a disclaimer, this was provided to me as a review copy from the publisher. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is this is kind of a good and a bad expansion. If you're a huge fan of the original game, this is a must-buy for you. It's going to add a lot of replayability to the game in the form of twists, which is most of what the expansion is about. It's going to add a huge deck of twists, and again, you're only playing with 2 of them at a time, so there's a lot going on, or you can play many, many times without seeing the same stuff twice. You can see that in the overview. It's got a couple of different twists that add different cards to the game. Those are probably some of my favorite. I like the police card and the Mol Card that gets passed around. Although those could have been a secondary, like a variant that's put in the game rather than a twist. You could just play it as a third twist, I guess, if you would like. And you could play this game with 3 twists anyway. But it just would have been neat to have those not actually being a twist, and maybe have a deck of those that you shuffle and you add one of those to each game that you play or something. So anyway, that's not a big deal. It's just interesting that, you know, you might play, if you shuffle the twist in with your base game, you got such a big twist deck that you may not get to the expansion content very fast. So we circumvented that and played with just the expansion content many times in a row to kind of get an idea of all of them. So the new player actions are pretty neat, although like I said, they only come in every once in a while depending on your twists. I do like them though because it kind of gives a 5th or maybe even a 6th action that players are doing, and it kind of makes people want to put their spies in different spots, you know, depending on what that other action is. It's just kind of a neat addition to the game. But one of my favorite things about the twists are the investment zones. Although they seem a little powerful, especially the one where you're putting your spies on it and it lowers all the cost of your inventions by 2 for every spy. So just like I said in the original video, these twists will kind of dictate a strategy for that one game, and you got to figure out what it is real quick and then go with that strategy. Kind of doesn't leave room for secondary strategies, but it changes with every time you play because the twists are different. The board that it includes is interesting because it's only used for 2 twists, which is an interesting component to add because it doesn't come up very often, again, if you had mixed all the twists together from the base set. And I find that interesting because they could have used this in so many different ways. They could put different symbols on the different numbers, and then so every 2 rounds that you go in, maybe it's a little star, and then you have a twist that's based off of that, you know, or maybe just add more than just 2 twists that use that board. I think that would have probably worked out a little better. Otherwise, those are cool twists. I just would have liked to seen the board used more often. And that's pretty much the umbrella of my thought of this, is that the twists are cool, it adds components, but you're not seeing a lot of the expansion all the time unless you put effort into doing so, either by playing many, many games or catering your twist deck to where it has a lot more expansion content than normal content. Although there is one thing that it adds that I love a lot, and it's those orange invention cards. Those are just shuffled in, you know, like normal with the invention cards, and they are phenomenal. I love those things. I like that they permanently increase, you know, your actions. Basically, it gives you another action every time you play that action. So every time I play this, I get 2 more money, or everybody discards $1. I mean, those are really fun. I like that, and I would kind of like if they came out with another expansion of this game, more content that can be just mixed in with the already available content, not just because they come out because of a twist. So it's a cool expansion because it adds a lot of replayability, but if your gaming group doesn't really care to play this game many times, then you might not get the most out of this expansion unless you go a roundabout way to doing so. So take it as you will. If you already like the game, you're going to get this. I can definitely say that. If you don't like the game, then this doesn't matter to you. It's not going to change your outcome on the game, I don't think. I think that if you like the base set or don't like the base set, the expansion doesn't change that. It just amplifies that. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below. Email me at my email address here. Follow me on social media and check out my podcast at Meeplecore. Until next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.